we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 5:30. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order and receive conflict of interest statements from anybody on the board with anything that we are discussing tonight on the agenda. Jack, got anything? Conflict of interest? Anybody? Marvin? Nope. No? Nope. Nobody? No. All right. Hey, Beth? Nope. All right. We will move on to public comment. And I will go down the list. Alan Ricketson?
I don't have a comment. I thought we were supposed to sign in.
Okay. Let me ask this. Is there anybody with public comment? All right. Yeah. Fred, you want to step up? And then if you guys can come up to the podium, that'd be great.
Hey guys, this isn't a complaint. It's not a complaint. It's a suggestion. You may have heard that on Channel 6 News at 6 and 10 tonight, there's going to be an article on the ski basin. And I've become aware of that. If you go back there on weekends, it's no longer a family place. You know, during the week it's okay, but on the weekends, it's no longer a family because you don't bring a family back there, because it is. It's crazy back there. And it's been happening for years. Boats going into the shoreline and digging into the dunes. As I drive around the neighborhood, I've been here 6 years, by the way. As I drive around the neighborhood, especially on Saturday and Sunday, I'm seeing cars and trailers without stickers. And I believe that's part of the problem back in the ski basin, that people are coming from outside the neighborhood. And I know you folks don't have any control over the ski basin and the waterways, it's the city. However, my suggestion is that we change the rotation of the compliance officers, and rather than have them working Monday through Friday, every now and then they take a tour on Saturday and Sunday, and be off Monday and Tuesday or something, and that way they can patrol the boat launches and have the people that don't belong in this neighborhood towed. And I think that'll help some of the pressures back in the ski basin. Thank you.
We do.
Thanks, Fred. That's it. Who else? Saw a couple of hands. We'll go next. Whoever wants to come up.
Thank you.
Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis King. I live on Hawks Nest Bay, and I had three things. I'm in support of the compliance officers and enforcement of the rules and whatnot, and as far as maintaining a certain standard with their houses. But I support that, but I'm also part of the reason why you enforce it, because I'm the sinner of sinners. About a year ago, I got my first letter, and I got a letter saying that I had weeds, my fence was kind of broken down. It was legit, that was true. I hate doing yard work. And sometimes I have a service that does it, and sometimes it's kind of luxury, and sometimes I don't, I fall behind. I understood the letter, and before that, I was supportive of, and I am, of the idea of enforcing standards. But when I got that letter, it was a very disrespectful letter. And I can understand why people get upset and get that letter, and they come in here and rail and are mad. When I got that letter, I came and, man, that almost makes me not want to follow standards because it was that negative. So I suggest that, one, those letters, someone needs to take a look at them and reword them. And second, the first contact you have when you're trying to enforce standards should be with a little bit of sugar. I think we should, instead of having a letter with the pictures and whatnot, which is a little bit jarring, I think we need to have at least somebody with a nice face, maybe even go face to face and make contact with them and say, hey, we'd like you to kind of pick up your yard if you could, maybe even suggest one of the, if they don't think like they're capable of doing it, suggest one of the free services or volunteer services to do it. But I think we need to have a little bit of sugar in the first contact as far as content, or as far as enforcement. Second thing is, this came up in March, is the follow-up fines. Now, I got in April, I got another letter because my fence was still not fixed. I got a letter about my fence needing repaired or replaced. Well, every 2 weeks you get another fine. And then every other 2 weeks you get another fine when they come back and follow up. Well, and that's the same thing for whether weeds or the fence. Well, it took me like a month and a half to find a contractor, to figure out what I was gonna do. When I finally got the job done, it was like a month and a half later, I had a series of $50 fines on my fence. Well, you know, you're not gonna replace a fence like that in 2 weeks. But the weeds, sure, you can do a follow-up fine with weeds. So what I'm suggesting is go through those fine schedules. Some of them don't need 2-week follow-up fines. And that was brought up in March, and I haven't heard anything from the board about changing that, so please do that. And third thing, I don't know how much time I have, but there's a representative on the ISAC committee for the POA. I think the POA ISAC representative, I know we have another guy, but that I don't, Carter, you're on there, but we have a POA rep. I'd like to see the POA rep not only be outspoken on the ISAC committee about city things that are related to the POA, but also come here to POA board meetings and give a report as far as what the city has to do with POA projects. And maybe the POA members will have an idea of like how the city is involved and how it affects us all.
Thanks, Travis. All right, yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Brian House Connect. I live on Dos Marinas Drive. I've lived here for about 2 years now. When I moved into the community, I expected, quiet enjoyment of my house, and that you folks as the board would sort of control what we do in the community and the island. What I'm finding is that the board isn't responsive to the community and sort of acting as somewhat of a quasi-governmental agency. So I'm introducing myself now, Brian House Connect. You'll be seeing me a lot more and you'll be hearing from me a lot more. I'm very concerned that major issues such as the Village Park redevelopment has been approved by you in concept without a vote of the homeowners, the people that actually pay all the dues here. I'm concerned when I read about how our bylaws are being changed ad hoc based on board approvals rather than votes of the members. It's required. I'm concerned about a lot of these issues, and unfortunately, rather than spending my quiet enjoyment at home or at the beach or enjoying our island, I find I'm going to have to be coming to these meetings and taking a much more active role in how this organization is managed. I'm hoping that some of the other homeowners will be taking also more of an active role, and it's an interactive thing. We need to be working with you, and you need to be working with us as homeowners. We are the owners of this organization. You are the folks that we allow to make certain decisions, but ultimately it needs to come back to the homeowners for major decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else? Anyone? All right. We will move on to new business. Yeah, good point. Pass the sign-in sheet around the audience.
Can I have an extra pen in case they don't know?
There's the board out there.
Oh, okay, I'll get it.
Yeah.
No worries.
Wait on you, Nancy. And is William Goldstein here? William, can you come present the Primavera Canal bulkhead repair?
Sure. Well, we, Naismith Hanson prepared a set of plans and specifications. We put it out for bid. We received 3 bids. Hanson did a great job of evaluating the bids, reaching out and having conversations with each one of the bidders, and came to the conclusion that on the basis of the best value bid, we would recommend CCC Group be awarded the contract. CCC Group has unqualified experience in doing this type of work. This is exactly what they do all the time. They're also going to, pardon?
I think you said unqualified.
I'm qualified. They're very qualified. Sorry.
I hope that's not.
Thinking, not talking. Talking, not thinking.
Remember, it's on TV.
Yeah, that's right. No, but they're very qualified. I stand corrected of myself. They're also going to approach the project by bringing in floating equipment, which will limit the amount of obstruction we have along Primavera Drive for all the neighborhood there. They also bid the project in 30 working days, which was half the time of the next bidder. So we recommend CCC Group for this contract.
All right, and I think that information was in everyone's package for tonight. So is there any discussion or questions for William? Marvin?
You could count on it. But I'm looking at the CCC bid table form.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull that out. Item number 3. More of a curiosity than anything.
Could you use the microphone?
There you go, get ready to start.
I'll take Jackson.
I'm sorry. And you are on.
Okay, let's, if you could look at the CCC bid table form. Item number 3, the quantity under 210 has been scratched out, and that looks like a 94. That's the only bid table form of the 3 where that was crossed out.
Marvin, that's a good question. Let me explain to you what happened. When Hanson prepared this bid package, they were thinking in terms of bidding, and I might get this backwards, but they were thinking in terms of we have basically 94 feet of lineal sheet pile. Some of the bidders took that and they, maybe I'm saying this backwards.
Yeah.
I'm saying it backwards? Yeah. Let me let Lou explain it.
My name is Lou Schreier. I'm with Naismith Hanson. We prepared 3 documents. The quantity that's in that item number 3 is 210 lineal feet. And what we base that on is that's the length of the number of the feet of actual pile section. If you look at the pile section, we specified it's about not quite 2 feet wide. And so if you add up a lineal foot of pile, and there's so many of them, they go side by side, you come up with 210 lineal feet. What CCC did is they looked at the plan, they said, well, there's only 94 plan feet. Because if you're looking at it on the plan, there's 94 feet that you look at in the plan. But if you take the lengths of the piles and you measure those for each of the sections of piles, that's where you get 210. So we had asked them, about that, and we also asked the other 2 contractors about how they evaluated that, and the other one said that they had looked at it as pile feet, and CCC looked at it as plan feet. The bottom line is we asked them all, does this change your price at all? Do you understand what you need to do? And they said, yes, we understand what we need to do, and the line total for that is consistent. They're all good with their numbers. So it's just a matter of interpreting what lineal foot meant, plan or actual depth.
Same job. Different measurements.
And Lou, I'll just clarify, this is a lump sum bid, so what's shown on the plans is what they priced, is what they billed for the dollars, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We broke some of them up into units just in case there was some variation during the construction. We'd already have a unit price in hand, but for the most part, it's a lump sum bid.
There? Okay, my question is, I love the idea that they're going to work from the water side because I know that that's less, traffic for our communities and stuff. But they do have 30 days, which I know you said was a plus. That's considerably less than what the other 2 bidders have. So my question is, do you, from the engineering perspective, because I'm a layperson on that, do you reasonably think that they really can complete it in 30 days, since that's so different from the other 2 bidders?
Yes.
And just a clarification here, that's 30 working days. So it's actually 6 weeks.
I'm very impressed with the ultimate bidding process. You know, it's a lot to read, but it's very complete. And I totally agree with CCC.
How much of the contract relates to replacing the storm drain?
There's a line
The
item.
number that's in there is basically for the head wall structure that's being built. The actual replacement of the line is gonna be done by the city. But with this contract, and they'll do some assistance with excavating, and once it's excavated, the city will come in and pull that line out and replace it, and then they'll cast the head wall around it.
Okay. So the city's cost is going to be on top of this cost, separate.
Well, yeah, the city will, but they should be bearing their own cost. You guys should not be paying for the city. And the city's, aware of all this and has been aware of it for a long time.
I think, John, were you trying to get at the fact that part of the cost that they bid out here, it will not be our cost?
Well, I was wondering if some of this, when I saw storm drain, if some of this is going to be reimbursable by the city.
Right.
Or if this was all our cost, and you're saying.
Yeah, this is all the PIPOA's cost.
Okay.
And that, all we're doing is in the bulkhead, there's going to be a preset hole or something for the storm drain to go out.
Well, we're casting, it's more like a head wall structure. The pipe will no longer go through the bulkhead like it did previously, because that created some issues. So now we have it actually outfalls a little bit away from the water line and then just spills into the water. That way you don't get some of the issues with marine growth like you were having previously.
Lou, and I think that's a major benefit that is often overlooked. You guys, your design brought that pipe out of the water, so there's no marine growth that clogs up the pipes, therefore backs up the streets and potentially undermines the street or the walls. So now it's all free to clear, free to flow, as long as nothing goes into storm drains, and that's a nice design.
Right.
Thank you.
And aren't we still having an over one too?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's going to have the storm drain from the street, but it's also going to have what I'm going to call an emergency overflow drain over the top. Should be pretty interesting.
Well, I wouldn't call it emergency overflow. It's just the overflow.
Naturally.
That's where all the water goes.
If it doesn't go in the storm sewer, it'll go through that.
Well,
It's a neat design.
all the water that goes to the storm sewer goes to the head wall.
So the storm drain that's on the other side of the road, that goes under the road and goes over, how does that get to the top?
Well, same, it doesn't, if you look at the sections, it doesn't really get to the top. The road surface is where it was. The pipes are basically where they were. It's just, we're cutting down where that pipe daylights so that it can spill over the top of the bulkhead. We've lowered one of the bulkhead sheets right where that pipe comes out.
There's a drain on the other side.
Yeah, it's connected. It comes over and it's one system, and they're just working from that one system.
Okay.
But it's all going to flow still.
Yes.
Okay.
But we're
I'm not trying to make it go uphill.
No, that's what I was.
Not this week.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, does the city have to have their portion bidded and done for the CC people to get their stuff done? How is the coordination?
My understanding is the city's going to do it with their own crews, and we've talked to them on and off about doing this, and they're aware of it. But they want, what we've told CCC Group is, and all the bidders actually, is that they need to coordinate that timing with the city, and so that they're not waiting around on each other.
No, yeah, that's the problem. We don't want to wait.
Yeah. So CC or the contractor, if it's CCC, if that's who you're
Or whomever.
they're going to be in control of the site, and so they're going to treat the city like another subcontractor, and they're going to schedule them to come in and do the work.
That's real interesting. I want to see them schedule the city. Thank you.
It often happens with utility work.
Well, yeah,
It
but
often happens.
So,
Sometimes it's at
I
night.
think you know where I'm going.
So ultimately, the city, John, is not gonna participate.
Correct.
They're covering their rear.
That's what I understand.
But do we still have something going with the, cable company?
Well, with these three bids, I'm going to update my demand to them.
Okay.
They sent somebody out, they haven't sent anybody to talk to me yet. I did say I wanted to go talk to the PIPOA, but they haven't talked to you either, so.
No, they did call.
They didn't call.
Yeah, he called to tell me that he had been out there and he had took pictures.
We'll give them the numbers.
Do you think there's, is that realistic at all? I mean, are we gonna get anything eventually?
We will get, I think we'll get something from them.
Okay.
They'll,
It's hard to
I haven't
determine.
heard what their story is yet.
Would that be an engineering thing, a percentage of fault?
I mean,
No, that's an attorney thing.
I mean, in your engineering work, you have confirmed for us, and we have pictures indicating that the tiebacks were cut.
Yes.
And that there's a grande cable.
And it appears for their cable, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's lots of evidence that appears as though they were the ones that cut it, but
There's also evidence that this storm drain collapse caused water back
Combination,
behind it.
they're covering that.
It's a combination.
But it's really not that big of a number for a company like that to go to court over, is it? I mean, cause the legal fees leave.
They have very expensive.
Yeah.
But
So we're gonna try.
We'll be following up on it, and I'll keep you posted on what their response is.
Thanks.
But now we have real numbers to do.
Right. Okay.
All right, any other, Marvin?
Tiebacks. Are you going to use the same materials and the same tieback design as the previous one, or is it going to be changed in some fashion?
well, it is a slightly different tieback design. The original was a tieback rod every 12 feet, was anchored into what they call a concrete deadman, which is basically a big block of concrete. The deadman anchors were way back almost at the curb line, and that's one reason that the tie rods got cut, because they were so far towards the street when they put the utility in. It was inevitable they would cut those things. What we've done is we put that line item number 3 you were asking about. That is for the anchor piles, and that's a steel sheet pile that's driven in about 10 foot back from the actual concrete bulkhead that you're going to see on the water. And then the tiebacks are put in there with space that ties it 6 foot on center to more evenly distribute that load in there instead of concentrating up in a 12 foot amounts of load. So it's a little bit different design, but essentially it's still tie rods. And
So you're gonna,
10 foot of
and you use-
exposure instead of 20.
exactly.
And you have mild steel as opposed to aluminum.
Steel
Yeah,
sheets versus the concrete blocks.
And,
Yes.
and like 12 feet in front. So our exposure to cutting stuff is
Yeah,
that
it is
first 10
less.
feet.
Wouldn't there be plans where the tiebacks were that the cable company could have looked up? Filed with the city or someplace?
I don't know of ever finding a set of plans for any bulkheads. I've seen some typical sections, but I've never seen a plan per se
Really?
of.
these bulkheads were put in before it was in the city limits.
Yeah.
So there was no code inspection.
Long time ago.
review,
Yeah.
All right.
Because it was not part of the city limits at the time.
And now CCC didn't propose a bond, is that correct, in their bid?
They didn't provide a bid bond. What a bid bond is just says that we're interested in bidding this. We're going to use this bid bond, and if for whatever reasons we're selected and we fail to enter into a contract, then POA gets the value of that bond, which is usually about 5% of their bid amount, as liquidated damages. But I don't know if I've ever pulled anyone's bid bond ever in 35 years.
How about a performance bond, liability, all that kind of thing?
Yeah.
They have liability, and they have the builder's risk, they have pollution. What they don't have in their number is they don't have a performance and payment bond. Performance and payment bond says, if for whatever reasons they went out of business or could not complete the work, then that's an insurance policy to go out and hire another contractor to finish it up. Now, they did say that they did not include that in their number. And
Did the others include that?
Yes, they did.
So we don't really have apples to apples exactly.
Not exactly. The performance and payment bonds are worth about 2.5% of their bid. They did say they'd be more than happy to provide those if they're in the running to get this. They don't have an issue with providing those.
Well, that would be at an additional price, I assume.
Yes. I don't know, we might be able to talk to them about it. It's my understanding that
Is
they
there
charge.
any, is there any room for negotiation in any of this, or is it just they write it down and we take it?
As far as all the numbers or just the insurance number?
No, all the numbers.
I'm sure that you can try to negotiate with them some. I don't know how far. But if you want to try to open part of it up to discussion, I guess you could. You guys have the right to do whatever you want with this project.
Just curious. That's a. Okay, thank
I
you.
mean, we can certainly ask them if we think there's any cost savings ideas that they have in mind, and we could evaluate those if you wanted, but.
I had the thinking that once we sat down to negotiate with them on this contract, if they were willing to provide us some form of a financial statement, I think it would probably take the place of a payment and performance bond.
Yeah, they're a big outfit.
Yes.
Dude, one last question for William. Would you explain, for the record here, the difference between CCC and DMB, and why CCC is more qualified than DMB?
Well, when you look at the projects that they submitted, most of DMB's work is really like utility work on land. And some of it was very dated. They might be able to do this just fine. But this project is going to be at a constriction point on the road there. And if this thing starts to go south and it drags on, it's just going to be a real mess. And that was part of the reason I think we felt like CCC Group, with their experience that is mostly, you know, as far as we're concerned, marine type experience, was better qualified. And then when you add to that the fact that they're coming in and doing it from the water, I think makes it much more attractive for the neighborhood.
Yeah. So in your professional opinion and Hanson's professional opinion, CCC is more qualified than DBD, whatever they are?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept CC Group's bid and the advice of our engineer consultant.
I'll second that motion.
All right, have a motion, have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries unanimous.
Get to work.
Maybeth, actually, can you guys work together, give them notice to proceed? I believe the contract says they have to be on site in 10 days to start work.
Well, yeah, we'll have to get copies of all their insurance papers before we
Yeah,
get that.
to give them the notice to proceed.
And we'll have to get a contract, an actual
Yeah.
contract for you guys to sign.
Yep. Okay.
So
So,
we'll start putting that paperwork
all
together.
right, thank you.
Really nice.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to a discussion and possible action on property owner survey. I'll open this up. I think it was in our package and clear what we were discussing, and I know there's some discussion to occur here. I'll wait till the end. Who wants to start?
One of the things the reason that we were trying to do something like that is to get some quantifiable, good data. Everybody is operating on anecdotal information. And so, actually my intern Josh, who didn't have any knowledge about, any of the past stories or anything other than when he showed it to me, I started explaining it, and he said, one of the things that you really do in a survey is, there's a controversial item probably in it. But if you exclude the controversy, then what good is your basis? And so that was part of the reason that he said, I would just encourage you not to take it out. he would have been here tonight, but unfortunately his wife is in the Navy. She had to be on duty tonight, so he had baby duty tonight. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. You know, you can make the case.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
I'm not even
sure.
I'm sorry. I said Josh would have been here tonight.
No, I'm talking about
What controversial item is it?
Community center. The community center is one of the items in here.
All right.
And I mean, it's one of several different things that says, you know, are you interested? Would you like to see us do it? Obviously, those of us that were involved got beat up, and maybe we don't want to do it, but does that mean that that's never anything that anybody should consider? Does that make sense?
Okay, and so for, my issue isn't about any controversial questions about the survey. I just do not believe that we are ready to send a survey out. It was my understanding that we as a board, we're gonna do a little workshop, talk about what is it that we really want to gain from the survey, make sure that all the survey questions are gonna capture whatever we really are trying to reach out and do. And then at that point, we can consider moving forward with the survey. And I just do not believe that I'm ready to vote to proceed with these questions, not because they're good or bad or anything controversial or anything like that. Just I just don't think we're ready because we haven't established our goals first, and then ensure that this is going to meet our goals.
I agree.
It's kind of a chicken and an egg, and it's something, you know, I've tried to promote getting the workshop to sit down and talk about it, and that's what I had hoped, that this would kind of take the place of the workshop tonight to be able to do it. The, you know, I cannot disagree with your wanting to wait until you have a new director and to set some goals. I get that.
That has nothing to do with it. What I think one of the challenges is we tried to kind of get a date set up, but I kind of maybe want to suggest a different direction here. I don't know that it needs to be a board workshop. What I think it needs to be is a community workshop, and then those questions and everything get put in a pile, sifted through, you know, organized, brought to the board with a, what are we trying to accomplish? Here's the set of questions, and then the board says, let's approve the whatever's, I think it was $7,000. We're 2 months of where we were, okay, 5 months, and we still haven't had yeah, okay, 5 months, $5,000. We're still down the road, and we don't have a workshop. So I think it's, and the problem with the board having to do it is we have to have a quorum, and then at the end of the day, we don't have the input. So if it's a community where the board shows up, we're not running the meeting. We're listening, and somebody's compiling the questions. And I would almost say facilitate.
I was just going to ask that, if you'd like that. Somebody that is, I think, has the experience and background and is very good at this is Toby Futrell, who's at A&M, and I think would be a good facilitator if that's the way you want to move it. I'd be happy to try to arrange that. I think that's a great idea.
I would also like to suggest that we waited this long. A lot of our people that are here, they come in as quote unquote winter Texan owners, come in about October or so. And with school starting, you know, everybody's got busy agendas between now and the beginning of school. Our young folks are very occupied in getting their kids back to school. You wait till school starts, everybody settle down, get some more of our winter Texans involved, and perhaps even go as far as allowing them to call in with suggestions, you know, or write in with suggestions or questions
or email.
input.
Yeah.
You know, if you can communicate to some of the folks that are not on site and don't intend to be on site until say November, but if they're able to at least filter into this, if you're going to gather information, let's gather information from all the segments involved.
Okay.
I do think that the new director needs to be involved in this operation.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be real grown up about this, and the truth of the matter is, if we had a open house for questions, it would be all the same people that show up to, you know, the meetings.
All these things.
Yeah, we're never gonna get out there unless we figure out some way to do it, and
That's what I was
Toby
Yeah.
speaks the language. And I also think
Yeah.
that there's some psychology in the design of the questions that she can help us with
Yeah.
too. Because it's a huge undertaking, and I you know.
We've done surveys in the past.
Yeah.
This is nothing.
Not like this one though.
No, this one is trying to really drill down and
Yeah.
get some better information that should help. You know, in setting a 5-year plan,
Yeah, exactly.
what's the 5-year plan for this organization? You know, we sort of, you know, bump along sometimes, and that's not a good way to be operating. We need to be doing some long-range planning about, you know, all the various activities that need to go on. So I think, you know, one of the other things that you had talked about was doing some kind of a security open house. Is, you know, and I've struggled with what that is, because what I think you were talking about was to have various security companies come with their, you know, as exhibits, be able to talk to interested homeowners or whatever. Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple more comments and then we'll jump over to the security.
Well, I was just wondering if
It
there
is
is.
same type of deal. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a board meeting.
Yeah.
It's a staff, you develop the date and get three security companies out here to produce or show off their goods and their systems, and then allow the homeowners to pick and choose and sign up and put in security systems. Several of us out here have them, and you know, share the information with the neighbors, and then some of the, you know, helping with the breaking into the vehicles or whatever, catch them on camera and solve the problem. Kind of back to the.
Yeah, back to the survey. I guess the point is I really want to make sure if one of the goals is we want to know what the demographics of our community, yeah, if one of the goals is we want to know what the demographics of our community is, for example, then we need to make sure that some of the questions are capturing the demographics we're looking for. And then if one of them is wanting to know, you know, what does the community want us to do on a long-range plan, then let's make sure those questions. But let's identify what our goals, if we're gonna spend this money, I wanna make sure we're spending it wisely, that we've identified what are the goals, and then the questions are gonna be able to help us achieve that goal. And so many times you can get questions that it's a leading question, we don't want that, we wanna make sure that they're really gonna help us capture whatever it is that we're trying to do. I know we all have a lot of those questions, and I think that we need to make sure we put those on paper, and then make sure the survey's gonna do it. But then the trick's gonna be, obviously, making sure that the survey isn't too long, because if we try to capture the world, nobody's gonna do it, myself included. You know, it just doesn't work that way.
Are there some limits, or is there, how many questions? No? Okay.
Well, maybe Mr. Patrol could give us some counsel as to the best way to form a survey and how many people need to be involved, or make a good sampling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Just to bring me up to speed, y'all were talking about someone I'm unaware of, so can you tell me about the person you're talking about?
Toby Futrell is a former city manager for the city of Austin. She has filled in as the temporary interim city manager here when we were between places. She teaches at A&M. She's in the Masters of Public Administration program. She's a teacher there. She's done a lot of workshops and facilitating stuff. She is an island resident.
What, would you spell her last name?
Futrell. She.
Facilitate city council.
Yeah, yeah.
She was on the street committee with me too.
Yeah. She's really an awesome lady, and she and her husband, I think, live over on Jackfish.
She can help get chaos into something coordinated to
Makes sense.
have a final product.
Okay, so the action moving forward is to set a date It's a community meeting as opposed to a board meeting. Get Toby to facilitate, and then let's.
You sure we shouldn't have a meeting with her first? To find out where we're going? Board?
Sure, we could do that.
That was the plan. Didn't we have this conversation?
So.
She was gonna come to our workshop. Yeah.
So I think what.
I'm laughing at what Maybeth's laughing at.
Yeah, we were gonna have her come to our workshop to help facilitate the workshop.
But publicly? I mean, with all
No, it was just gonna be board, but if we're expanding.
It's not gonna be a board meeting, it's
Yeah.
a community
Community.
meeting that
Right.
Toby would
Yeah.
oversee and come up with the questions for a survey and maybe the goal. What is the goal of this survey
Mhm.
that we're gonna spend money for? What are we gonna get back from it? And then that comes back to the board as a recommendation. Here's whatever it is, 100 questions, and here's what we're gonna use the 100 questions for, and here's how much it's gonna be, and we want approval from the board to spend the $5,000 or $7,000, and it's gonna be done within 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. And then the board will take that action and vote or discuss it.
her cost too.
Yeah.
It's free.
No.
It's free.
Yeah.
I will find that out.
And when you find it out, what are you gonna do with that?
I'm gonna let you know.
Come back to the board?
Yes.
And at least.
Well, and I would hope that I'll have that for the next board meeting, which is 2 weeks away. Right?
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
Oh, Jack, that's something.
Something to say, we shouldn't be giving testimonials to people we haven't met.
I've met her.
Yeah, and I've worked with her.
We all know her.
Yeah, we all.
She's run city council meetings in downtown.
If we're gonna have a fair and open search, everybody gets equal time.
Okay, thank you, Jack. She's an island girl.
Okay, so with that said, do you guys have, okay, so you guys, do you have somebody else that you'd like to throw out for consideration?
Well, since Jack doesn't know her and Marty doesn't know her, maybe Maybeth sits down with her. Maybe we can invite these gentlemen so that they can meet her. How's that sound?
Sure.
I don't think they should sit together anymore.
Oh, okay.
Those two? Okay, we'll separate them.
Separate the kids.
All right, any other she wants to be in the lunch.
I don't know where either. Okay.
All right, any other discussion on the survey? All right, we're done. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Starry, starry night.